Hello everyone and welcome to Week 4's Team Builder of the GBA D-League Season 4. Your New York Empoleon finally got themselves in the win column last week with a big win against Texas Rangers coached by Randy, but this week we have another fantastic competitor here in Draft League format in Deebs and the Calgary Flame Wheels. Now Deebs is 2-1 right now with a pretty good differential. I think it's like +4. So we've got our work cut out for us this week. He's a very good battler. I have definitely worked hard on this matchup, tried to figure out how to break down his team that you can see right above me is absolutely terrifying. Landorus T, Mega Charizard X, Serperior, Nihilego, Tapu Fini, Porygon 2, Metagross, Sneasel, Hitmonlee, Rotom, and Golisopod. Landorus T and Golisopod are his two Z users, which are obviously really threatening Z users, especially considering how much Z Fly I've been seeing. I have to be expecting that Landorus T to bring that, just like Celesteela did, just like the Go-Goat did. I mean, we've seen it twice this season. It is a way to break down Mega Venusaur, and I really have to be worried about it. And Landorus T is one of the best Z Fly users in the game. Now, my team that I've brought to counter that is actually sort of twofold. So there's the first half of this team that I'll talk about, and the second half of this team that I'll talk about. First half is going to be kind of wall breakers, just Pokemon that I'm going to use to get in there, get some damage off, and not really try to do too much with or overextend. And then the second half of this team is going to be the Pokemon that are just going to be able to sit in and wall out some Pokemon, take some hits as needed. So Jafar the Bisharp will be coming back again this week, this time holding an Air Balloon, Defiant for that Landorus Therian. And it is going to have Sucker Punch, Stealth Rock, Knockoff, and Poison Jab. No Iron Head for the Nihilego. I thought about it, but I think the utility of Knockoff and Sucker Punch is way more important, and Stealth Rocks are big for me this week with his Charizard, with his Sneasel, with his Golisopod, things like that, not appreciating them. He does have Defoggers up the wazoo, so I do have to watch out for that, but if I can isolate those and try to get Stealth Rocks up, maybe early game, if depending on the sets he's bringing, but probably more closer to mid game would be my expectation to get rocks up. That would be huge for my team. And then Knockoff, obviously, if you listened to the original power rankings and draft analysis video from the GBA themselves, they just said Randy's team is extraordinarily Knockoff weak, and I looked at it and they're completely right about that. So we are going to be putting Knockoff on one of the best Knockoff users in the game in Bisharp. This thing has a ton of utility this week. So 68 HP, max attack with a jolly nature though, and 172 speed is more relevant than anything else. That is going to make sure that I outspeed an adamant Metagross every time. That way I can make sure I get that knockoff off faster, or confirm that he's jolly if that is the case. Now, because I have the Air Balloon, he can't just straight go for an Earthquake. He would have to go for something like a Meteor Mash first to break the balloon, and then I can confirm whether or not he's going to be jolly or if he's going to be adamant. And then we get to play Sucker Punch mind games, as always, with Bisharp. So this thing, really designed to come in and handle a couple of things, but really knock off, set up those rocks. It is a sort of utility Bisharp. It does not like seeing a Mega Charizard X, so I do have to watch out for that matchup, obviously. I was like, should I run Akaberry on this thing? And I realized I still can't take a Flare Blitz, no matter what. I could run max defense, max HP, and an Impish Nature, and an Akaberry, and still die to a Flare Blitz from a Charizard X, so that is something to bear in mind with this Bisharp. Now, next up we have Tornadus. Tornadus is going to be holding the ICMZ this week. I went back and forth on the Prankster versus Defiant. Prankster versus Defiant. The Landorus T is obviously big, but I decided to go with Prankster Defog this week just because I do have Tornadus and I do have Victini, and I don't like rocks. I don't like residual damage. I want my team to be able to switch in as many times as I can have them switch in. So Icy Wind with the ICMZ will take out a non-Assault Vest or Yachi Berry Landorus. It hits the Serperior extremely hard. And it gives me a click of an ice move against Serperior that isn't Icy Wind that would boost its speed by 1. Serperior does outspeed me no matter what, but I obviously don't want to give it a free choice Scarf either. Sludge Wave is big for that Serperior for the Fini. It's just a good move to click in general. Defog obviously is utility this week, and then Knockoff because, like we said before, the Texas Rangers do not appreciate their items getting knocked off up the wazoo, and that's what we're going to try to do this week. We are going to try to click Knockoff on as many things as we possibly can. So, after that, we have Ditto. Ditto, oh my god, Choice Scarf Mega Pokemon are insane. I do mock battles of these, I do a lot of prep for this, and I look and I'm like, okay, what would kill his team? And I'm like, oh, just use his own Mega, but Scarf it. And honestly, Mega Lopunny last week, Scarf Mega Lopunny, let's be real. This Ditto put in so much work last week. I could see it putting in just as much work this week. My opponents really are going to have to prep hard to match a Ditto, because if I can switch this thing in safely, and I think I'm proving hopefully over these next few weeks and this season that I know how to use a Ditto really well, I can get a boost from that Superior if he goes for a Leaf Storm. I could take a Dragon Dance Charizard and obliterate him. I could take a Calm Mind Tapu Fini and handle that. I can take a Swords Dance Metagross or Sneasel or, you know, anything like that and really try to handle those Pokemon, bring it in safely, see the set, see that whole set. I mean, that was huge last week, information on the Celesteela, huge information on the Mega Lopunny, so I really do appreciate that. I should stop talking about last week. I'm just so excited that I got a win last week. But anyway, so bringing it on the Mega Charizard X, bringing it on the Landorus T and intimidating himself, bringing it on a Tapu Fini, and seeing what he's running or getting those Calm Mind boosts, bringing it on the Beast Boost Nihilego, bringing it in. I mean, there's just endless reasons to bring in a Choice Scarf Pokemon against itself, and getting access to all of his sets, getting access to all of his information really makes me hope that this thing can put in the work that I put in last week once again. I think Ditto does do a lot for me. It does give me access to his defoggers as well in case my Tornadus goes down with a defogger that's actually not weak and is still scarfed, so it does have a lot of speed investment in that sense. Next up, we have Victini. Victini is going to be special for the first time. It's also going to be scarfed. I was really debating not running double scarfers this week because his team isn't super fast. Victini does outspeed most things, but the speed tie with Mega Charizard X terrified me, and I just wanted to make sure I broke that. Additionally, I do think his Landorus T could be coming scarfed, so I do want to make sure that it can outspeed that with something, and that would be this Victini. So Blue Flare, U-Turn, Energy Ball, and Glaciate. Again, I do have to be careful about that Glaciate on the Superior, but I do also want to outspeed it with this Victini and have this be a good check to it. He would never hard switch it in. If he has it in against me, I could probably just click U-Turn expecting him to switch out. But that's what we're going to go with this week. We have enough speed to outspeed a Landorus T no matter what, which means that I can actually always outspeed a Choice Scarf Landorus T and go for Glaciate. The only risk is that if he goes for a Rock Polish set, which does scare me a little bit, then I do have to watch out for that. But otherwise, this thing does handle Landorus. It can outspeed Charizard and do about 30% to 40% with a Glaciate. Superior is going to be doing not much to me, and I'm going to be able to hit him back. Nihilego, terrifying, honestly, but that is what we're running Energy Ball for a little bit, just because it is neutral coverage. But U-Turn's probably a better play there, and I do not outspeed a Scarf Nihilego, but I do outspeed a regular Nihilego with this Choice Scarf on my own. So lots of things this thing's going to check. I hope this Victini is going to put in the work, and that really wraps up that first half of the team that's going to be able to come in and break down a lot of his Pokemon. And then what we're looking at with this last half of the team, and let's be honest, it's not surprising to see this core once again. Venusaur, Mega Venusaur has proven time and time again that it is a great Mega in League format. If you just want something to come in on any attack and just kind of sit there, the only thing it's not going to handle well is a Z move. Other than that, it's actually going to be just fine this week. His matchups against it aren't fantastic in general. It doesn't love staring a Mega Charizard down because of the fact that Flare Blitz does still do a whole bunch of damage. But, I mean, at the same time, that's not the concern. This thing is designed a little bit more specially bulky, but just generally bulky. I do have a minus speed nature on it, but that's more because I don't have any other stat that I want to decrease because every other stat means something. Knockoff, Leech Seed, Sludge Bomb, and Synthesis is the set we're running this week. I know that it's tempting to run some sort of grass coverage, but really not that tempting, honestly. Sludge Bomb hits neutrally. Anything that grass would hit neutrally, with the one exception of Nihilego, but Nihilego is not really that much of a threat to a Mega Venusaur anyway. And Leech Seed can handle just about anything else that isn't Superior. And so getting that knockoff, again, that is the plan this week, is just take away access to all of his items, get knowledge on which of the two Pokemon are going to be the Zmon this week, knock off a Superior on a potential switch, knock off a Nihilego if he tries to go into that. That's really what this is for. I've done a lot of mocks where knockoff hits the Metagross on a switch into this Mega Venusaur, knocks off its Salt Vest, knocks off whatever item it's holding, so that's really useful as well. And then Leech Seed is really, really good utility for me to just have, if he doesn't have the Superior or something like that, just so that I can click that, get the recovery back. And then it's Mega Venusaur. You don't run Mega Venusaur without Synthesis in League format. It's just not as viable without it. I do sometimes run without it, but like this time, it just made so much sense to have this thing have a lot of survivability. This thing is supposed to be able to switch in on any special attacker on his team. Superior, Nihilego, Tapu Fini, Porygon 2, Rotom all do not look at Mega Venusaur and want to handle that matchup. So that is what this thing was designed to do. And then his physical attackers really can't handle my Lotic. So Ninian's coming this week with a Flame Orb Marvel Scale set, Scald, Toxic, Haze, and Recover, 252 HP and 212, defense with a Bold Nature and a little bit of special defense just to take a couple hits there. But this thing handles the Landorus-T, it handles the Charizard, it handles the Metagross, it handles the Hitmonlee, it handles the Gliscod, and it handles the Sneasel. So this thing handles all the physical threats, Venusaur handles all the special threats, and I can always switch into one of them and then get the reliable recovery back up if I need to. Toxic, I thought a lot about Ice Beam this week, because Superior is the obvious switch into of my Lotic, but Toxic's honestly better on the Superior, in my opinion, than an Ice Beam. Ice Beam could do as much as 50%, but I really just prefer clicking Toxic on that thing, whittling his team down. If he doesn't have the Metagross and the Nihilego, and then the Finny's Terrain, obviously, but Toxic otherwise just really helps me against his team. It just whittles the threats down bit by bit, and my Lotic will outlast his team. My Lotic will sit there as long as it has to sit there. Mega Venusaur will sit there as long as it has to sit there, and they will outlast his team no matter what he does. I just don't see him having answers to my Lotic and Mega Venusaur. He might pull out something like a Thunder Punch Metagross, or, you know, I could see maybe a Z-Fly Landorus-T, trying to hit my Milotic really hard, but I just think this thing will outlast his team. I just don't see him breaking it down, and this has been pretty much a trend in my mock battles. This Milotic is just a challenge for him to deal with any physical attacker, and if I look at his team and see a lot of physical attackers, I'm just going to be so stoked about it. That's the set we're running this week. That's the team we're running this week. I hope it works. I think we have a lot more respect now that we've managed to beat a very good coach in Randy, and I think Deebs is another phenomenal coach. If you do want to check out his side, I encourage you to do that. Links are always in the description below for my opponents, and I really am excited for this battle, guys. I'm putting a lot of more work and focus into the GBA after the first couple weeks. It was kind of a wake-up call to lose a couple matches and get into this now and realize, okay, this is a league that I really need to actually prepare for, I really need to work for. So I'm excited for that. It's actually a really big motivator for me, is to be like, okay, well, I'm ranked, you know, pretty close to last in a lot of these rankings after the first couple of weeks. Let me prove that I deserve to be in a playoff spot. And if we win this week, we're back to 500. We are, like, it's still early season. Like, we're only in week 4 right now, so lots of time left. And I hope you guys are well until tomorrow when that battle comes out. I'm so excited to bring you guys more GBA content on this channel, and the goal is, as always, to make and push ourselves through those playoffs. But to do that, it starts now. We need some wins, and we need some soon. So hopefully you guys are excited for tomorrow's battle. I will see you guys then. Take care, everybody.